I think we're live. Okay, Tracey, we're live. Hello, everyone. Okay, so welcome to the online visibility and mindset. We are episode 6 of the visibility fitness, and I have the amazing Tracey with me today, and we are going to be talking about how your mindset can affect your visibility. So before we dig into some of the questions, do let us know if you are joining us live today and or if you are watching the replay. So if you are joining us live, please pop a hello in the comments below and let me know where you are live streaming from. We are actually live streaming to Facebook, my Facebook business page, my Facebook group, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube and Twitter at the moment. So we have got the opportunity to have lots of guests on listening to us. So if you have any questions about how you think your mindset might affect your visibility, then please do pop those into the answer them as we go through. So hello, Donna, and hello, Ria, and thanks for joining us. And I see, yeah, that's brilliant. So Tracey, would you like to just say a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll crack on with the questions.
So I am a performance and accountability coach. I'm also a master NLP practitioner and trainer, and I do the odd speaking occasion at events when called on. So I help predominantly female business owners who are wanting to up level their business to the next level, who want to maybe increase their confidence, be more visible, get more clients, get more income, and just take their business to the next level.
Online or in person, or obviously with COVID, it's a little bit of more online. Would you say you're most...
So I've always generally worked online. I do love to run a workshop, and those would normally be face-to-face and lives. So they're online at the moment until we can all go back safely with COVID. My one-to-one coaching is usually online unless somebody's pretty local to me, and then they can come around and see me. And I have a monthly Facebook group that goes out talking all things mindset. So I'm happy to meet with people. Okay. I'm happy to work online and whatever people want, really.
Okay, brilliant. So we're going to keep this quite casual. I've got a couple of questions, but we thought we would just see if the audience has any questions as well. So do pop those in as well, and I will be able to share your questions on the screen as and when you pop them in. So just to kick us off, do you hear from a lot of people who maybe your clients or your network that they don't like, what's their biggest excuse about being visible?
Oh, it's huge. Every time I go networking, every time we're talking about social media and marketing and how to get yourself out there, the big thing is, oh, I can't do that. I couldn't possibly do a live. I couldn't possibly do a presentation at a network meeting. Or I couldn't stand up in front of someone or more than one person and talk to them. Okay. It's really, really, really common. And the excuses I have heard, and I don't like the word excuses, but the reasons that they give me is that they don't look good on camera. They wouldn't know what to say. They're scared of fluffing up their lines and not getting it right. They're scared they're going to get judged and that people are going to look at them in a non-flattering or expertise way. What right have I got to tell other people what to do? Who's going to listen to me? All of those things.
Wow. So let's break it down a little bit, because I know that a lot of people who I help with visibility tend to find the tech quite scary. And because the tech is quite scary, they tend to hide behind that stumbling block in a way. So let's have a look at, obviously you mentioned quite a lot of reasons that you can put your stumbling blocks, let's say that instead of excuses, in the way of actually being visible. So obviously there's lots of different ways to be visible. So Tracey mentioned quite a few, but if we go back down to sort of like the basics, since COVID has kicked in, we've been thrust onto this online area where many people find it very difficult to sit in front of the camera like we are doing now, or even actually just express their opinions in by popping comments into people's posts and things like that. So if we were to look at how people could move into overcoming some of those limiting beliefs regarding, say, for instance, sharing their opinion, how would you what sort of advice would you give them on sort of like some little steps that they could take to actually just being confident about writing their opinions in comments, or even just putting a post out there?
So I think the first thing is to remember the why you're doing what you're doing and why you're in those groups in the first place. And I know an awful lot of people lurk on the outskirts for a really long period of time. They kind of watch and see what other people are doing. And there might be something they feel really strongly about, but they don't actually feel strong enough to write a comment. And in these days, that can be kind of understandable, because these days you get so many comments and all of a sudden you get trolls coming at you, and you can kind of receive quite a lot of abuse online without knowing who that is, because you put a comment in, somebody can come back at you. So I think it's knowing your why. What is it that you are there for, and what is it that you want to be able to say, and knowing and owning that right, that if everyone's got a right to contribute, everyone's got a right to have a conversation. And if you would say it to somebody that you're mixing with, because you've chosen to be in that social media platform, you've chosen to be in that Facebook group, or following people on LinkedIn, or watching a YouTube channel from someone. So you've chosen to be there, and therefore that gives you as much right as everybody else who's chosen to be there. And it's almost like, if you've chosen to be in a group of people and having a conversation, would you join in that conversation, or would you just sit very quietly on the sides and not contribute into it? And if you would contribute into the conversation, then knowing that it's okay to contribute with a comment, because everyone's going to have a difference of opinion. And as long as, in my opinion, you are being respectful and you're not being blatantly one of the isms that go around at the moment, which obviously most social media platforms don't take as acceptable, then jump in. Just jump in. Make it look like it can be as simple as, I agree with someone. Just start off really small. You haven't got to go and put your whole belief system down on there, but just comment on somebody else's comment, and it might just be as simple as, I agree with that. Start small.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think, start small, I think, is really important. And I think you sort of knocked the nail on the head about platforms, actually, because I think what some people find very overwhelming about being visible is being visible on all the platforms. And actually, you don't have to be visible on every platform until you're confident being visible on one. So basically, choose a platform that you feel happy using. So if you know that your ideal audience is hanging out on Facebook, for instance, then really, really concentrate on understanding that platform, and then also contributing to that platform. So when I say contributing, like Tracey said, go in and just make some comments. So you're almost like in networking. It's almost like imagining yourself in a room with other colleagues, because when you're standing in front of somebody talking to them, it's a lot easier to put a response up, because you can see their facial expressions, you can see how, you can almost read what their mind is saying, whereas online, it's very difficult to know that. And I think that holds people back. So actually just concentrating on that one platform and getting confident using that one platform is really good. And like you say, that's all comes back down to knowing your why and knowing your audience, because that's very important, because you can really bolster your confidence online being visible if you also understand how the platform works. So if you just concentrate on one platform, then that would really, really help you. So for instance, if you know that your clients are very corporate, then you perhaps want to be on LinkedIn. Whereas if you know you're not sure, and you know that they like networking and they're very communicative, then Facebook's quite a good one. Instagram's really good if you've got very visual, got something visual to go. Although Instagram is changing a little bit, and you can jump into Instagram and utilize it really well at the moment, especially with like going live and things like that. So we've got a few things here. So Ria said that technology and standing in front of the camera and being seen by people all over the world is something that she finds quite difficult. The rest of it said, but she's now standing in front of Zoom doing her Pilates classes, and that's really, really helping. So she said, standing in front of the camera and being seen by people or live class. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think you've also said something there, Ria, because obviously standing in front of a Zoom like we're doing now, obviously with Tracey here, I've got Tracey's, both of us are having a conversation and you guys are all watching, and that's really good. But when you're standing in front of a camera on Zoom, say like in your own office or your room, or you're out doing a live, and you can't see people's expressions, that can sometimes really sort of like stop you in your tracks. But I always try to imagine that there's somebody else behind my computer, or what some people do is they pop a picture up on the wall of, like a couple of friends that you might know, so that you're looking at the camera and you can also see those friendly faces in the distance. That also helps as well. So obviously live video and Zoom, going onto Zoom and live streaming, like with Restream, like I am at the moment, it can be quite daunting for some. And I think that mindset of speaking to people when you're not actually in front of them can be quite hard. What sort of suggestions would you give to people about that, Tracey?
I think you made some really good points there, Anita. If you can do it on a Zoom to a group of people that you're doing Pilates with, for instance, you can do it to anybody. So it's almost like when you're presenting to people, sometimes you can't see all their faces, but you can focus on one. And I think it's a really good idea what you're saying. If you're online and there isn't that feedback that you're feeding off, they're nodding their head and smiling at you because they like what it is that you're doing or saying, then get one of those big cardboard cutouts of somebody or a big picture, so that you are talking to someone. Or in your head, you are imagining that there is one person and only one person that you are talking to. And that this one person might be your ideal client, might be a friend, it might be a loved one, it might be a member of your family, whoever it is that you know is going to be rooting for you and have your back. And they're going to be standing there smiling at you and encouraging you. And you imagine them there. If you can, get them there. So they're behind the camera and they're smiling at you and you're focusing at them. Because if you're focusing at them, then you'll also be looking at the camera on your web, on your laptop or your computer, which is usually right in the middle. And for most people, they tend to look down because that's where they're looking down. Try and make sure you're looking up and you're looking at the camera. So just one person. Just imagine one person.
Good, actually, because that's really important to have that focus of beyond the camera, because sometimes you do get transfixed with the camera. And I do a lot of screen sharing when I do my lives, a lot. So I do look to keep my camera in my life. I can keep talking when we are doing lives like this, because the screen is a little bit lower. That can often put people off, but just it's practice makes perfect. And I think the more you practice, the more you will get confident at it. And if you find, like, for instance, we're not just talking about going live, we're being visible in your posts and being visible in video online in your social media platforms as well. So going live like we are now is like the next level up, really. But if you were to think about how to go to be on your chosen platform, then you can do that. You can obviously write an update and use an image. You can do a video that you can create in some software such as, say, like wave.video, which has templates that you can just pop in different wordings, and you have stock images and videos in there, so you don't put yourself on the camera just yet. Or you can do videos where you pre-record yourself, and you can use your mobile phone for that. You can like just video yourself on your camera, and then you can upload that into your social platform. Any of those things get a lot of help you to get a lot of visibility, and they also help you to improve your confidence and really bolster your confidence, because when you start, buzz that you get when you have that interactions with people. Excuse me. So so Donna's actually asked a question about Facebook groups. So let's just see if we can show that on the screen now. So one thing I find hard is putting in a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, that happens to all of us. But I think what you have to realize, especially with Facebook, people do actually see what you're saying, but they tend to not want to be visible themselves, to like it, and they tend not to actually comment on it, but they are actually looking at what you're putting in there. And I think what one would need to do in that circumstance is to think about the overall goal that you've set the Facebook group up for, and also check on the insights inside of there. So that's a bit more of a practical thing, is to actually look at the insights of your Facebook group and see what the engagement is like on the post, because you can actually see that information inside of Facebook, and that helps you, because even though they're not there straight away, they are still watching and reading and interacting. But one of the ways that you can improve, like to get more confidence out of your Facebook group, is to put in posts that would really prompt engagement. So general sort of knowledge questions where, you know, people don't have to share their opinion. They don't have to like stand on the fence either side. They can just answer. So, you know, like, do you like Marmite or not? It's just to pull people out and get them familiar with communicating with you as well. So Tracey, what would you say to that about
I would say, Donna, that agree with Anita again, obviously. Pull them in. So you've got, you know, I know what, you know, who your clients are and what your program is. So start talking to them and asking them questions and sharing your journey. When I was overweight, I felt this. Does everybody else feel like that, or was it just me? So that you're using your experience and your why of what happened to you, your journey, and how you overcame that issue, and use that as others' Facebook stories and get them interacting in different ways. Surveys are a really good one. Get them to do that little A, B, or C. Poll, that's the word I'm looking for. Do a poll, which will bring them in, and just stand and remember, they're in your group. They're just because they're not literally interacting with you at that moment, they will be interacting at on some level, and it's your fear that no one's there that is making that mindset you have of, why am I doing this? You don't, as I know, as we've all heard from the people who've done social media training, we don't know who's watching. We don't know who these people are that are putting views on LinkedIn or Facebook. We don't know who they are, but they are there. And they will find you. And it's just keep going. And just, again, back to that ideal client. Talk to your ideal client.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good tip, is because if you can talk to your ideal client inside of a group, or when you do any posts, you can, and you can also use hurdle about yourself. So coming back to that out there, or not, or being afraid of being seen, or, you know, that all those years of experiences that you've got, you don't think are good enough. They are good enough. And all you have to remember is that you have to package it up in a way that you can use. You can almost do it to protect yourself whilst you build your confidence up. So use other people as examples. Maybe a client you've had, just change their name and talk about them, so that you can show other people that you've got the experience and that you've got that visibility, but you just wrap it up differently. So obviously, being online and being visible, there are lots of different places and areas that you can do that. So Tracey mentioned about presenting, and maybe like even in networking groups. So tell us a little bit about that, Tracey, because obviously online networking has taken a massive upturn recently, because obviously we used to do face-to-face, stand up for a minute and then, you know, have a little mingle and a coffee. Now obviously it's all changed with online networking. How would you say that your mindset has to change for that?
So I've been doing a lot of online networking since we all went into lockdown kind of March time. It's been really interesting, and there are lots of pros and cons as always. The pros are there's no traveling. You can access groups that maybe not in your absolute area, so you can get into different parts of the country. You can get different parts of the world. It doesn't make you don't mind about time zones if your program or services are not locale based. And a lot of people have been taking that up. But the difference is there is, you have a screenshot, maybe this big, maybe this big, depending on what device people are looking on. If they're on a mobile phone, they can see less of you. If they're on a tablet, they can probably see 9 of you. If you're on a PC or a laptop, you can probably see everybody. But depending on how many people you are, you end up, I keep thinking, and show my age, I keep thinking I'm on the Brady Bunch because you keep looking around and down at everybody who's around. But the key to it is to make sure that you're not using your telephones or your tablets while you're on the meeting, so that you're going, hang on a minute, I am listening. And the etiquette is still the same. So the way that our body language, we interpret and understand body language, that 93% of communication, that is non-verbal. So, how we smile, how we use our facial expressions, what our gesticulations are all still valid. So you need to, talk, and it's really weird. It's very strange. You've got to learn to talk to the camera and not look at the screen, because your temptation is you want to look at everybody. What happens is that you lose half your face, or you're in the shadow, and getting your lighting right is really important. And also, there is still 60-second pitch, but you've got to really kick into that pain point that person has of what it is that your services are going to save for them. So what I've seen a lot of in general networking and more online is that everyone tells us what they do. And when it comes to somebody like a printer, no offense to printers, but I kind of know what it is that you do. So why do I want to use you? And doing a presentation. Now, I've done a lot of presentations online because we can all share screens. And it's a lot easier hiding behind your computer and just doing a PowerPoint presentation or something online than actually being visible to a lot of people, which is great. But it's also really good for getting your business out there. And every time I do a presentation, I get clients. And I've done a lot of presentations this last 7 months. And it is about using the camera and using the facility. So doing online presentations at the moment is brilliant because you can just share a screen. If you haven't not great at presentations, use the whiteboard and just write things down or type them so that your face is hidden. And if you really don't like it, you've got the facility not to see yourself. So you can do those 3 little dots, and you can thumbnail it so that, oh, aren't you impressed, Anita? I know what the word thumbnail is. You can thumbnail it. Oh, I've been practicing. You can thumbnail yourself down so you can't actually see yourself. They can hear you. They can probably see you, but you can't see you. And I know for a lot of people, I had a friend who I was having a social group with, and we were doing it online, and she hated herself at work. She hated herself on seeing herself on the camera on the Zoom meetings. So she used to have a little post-it note that she would cut out, and she would just put a little square over her face so she couldn't see herself, until I told her she could hide her thumbnail. And she went, oh, brilliant. Isn't that me giving tech advice? Who knew? So it is about making sure that, make it your comfort zone, make it your friends, make the online presence that you are going into, for whatever reason it is you're going into it, learn to like it, and embrace it. And if you don't like seeing yourself, hide yourself, but hide behind, if you can, hide behind your PowerPoint or the whiteboard or anything else that you can use on screen when you're sharing, so that people can learn and get your expertise without you feeling that you're being really visible. And then you can slowly start coming out.
Yeah, that's a really good bit that you said about, I wrote some notes about your comfort zone, because obviously it's all about being comfortable when you are visible. It's not necessarily being comfortable when you're on camera like we are now, but it's being comfortable being visible. And a lot of people aren't comfortable being visible. And I think that really holds their business back. So when I'm talking about being visible, when like, if you were to ask me what visibility means, it would be that you have a presence online. Now that presence increases brand awareness, and it also increases the ability for you to show others what it is about you and what you do. So it's not all about what you do as a business, but it's also allowing others to find out a little bit more about who you are underneath the surface, in a way. So, for example, I often refer to my BMX racing as something that I talk about. And I often refer to the fact that that helps me get the energy to do what I do in my business. And that's the sort of thing that one can get comfortable doing, is to actually talk about those things in your online visibility. Because when you talk about things that have happened to you when you're online, you can actually really start to get that relationship up with others. So that's something that would really help with your mindset. So even if you're not comfortable sharing your opinions about things that you do or things that you've read, start off by sharing some things about yourself to your audience, and sort of work on making your comfort zone bigger. Because Tracey just mentioned that you've got to be in your comfort zone when you are visible, and that's got to be something that, if you can be comfortable in your comfort zone, then you can start to become more visible, because the more comfortable you get, the more visible you get. So Tracey, you mentioned obviously being comfortable in front of the camera, and obviously, like you said, you've shown your friend how to reduce the camera thumbnail in Zoom, which is really good.
Impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, really good. Hi, Justine. I just want to say hi to Justine over on YouTube. She's just joined us over there. So that's hi there. It's like, what else would you say? How would someone else be comfortable, say, like networking, say on Facebook, for instance? So Facebook's a really good platform for networking, because you have your Facebook groups and you also have your Facebook page, but you also have yourself as a profile, and then obviously you've got your Facebook stories. So how would you say someone could get comfortable, say like in groups? What would you suggest that they do?
So first thing, before we get immediately into that, is to start thinking about comfort zones generally. It's like, why are they there, and what do they give us? Because everyone, most coaches, you'll see loads of people online going, step out of your comfort zone and try something new, and that itself can be really, really scary.
Yeah.
So I was chatting with a colleague a couple of weeks ago on a network group about this, and we both came up with the conclusion that instead of just stepping out of your comfort zone, why don't you just try stretching it a little bit? So you haven't got to like really go millions of miles away from it, but you're just moving the
goalposts. Yeah.
Because remember, comfort zones actually have no doors, no walls, and no ceilings. They are totally self-imposed. So if you just kind of move it a little bit, then you might find it actually isn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. And usually that's the thing with a fear. The thought of the fear is always worse than the reality of the situation. You think about, going to the dentist. Most people don't like doing that, or something that people really don't like doing, and they worry about it for ages beforehand. But when they get to it and they do it, and then they come out and go, well, actually, that wasn't as bad. So try something. Now, the thing about Facebook groups is, and any kind of social media, but let's talk about Facebook. You can lurk. You can lurk for, as long as it's comfortable for you to lurk. And then you might dip in and make a little comment, or like something, or put an emoji up that will go, yes, I whatever that is, or put a GIF. And you can do lots of different interactions before you start getting involved and actually having a say. And you can watch. And I'm in a Facebook group, and all of a sudden there was a post up on one of them yesterday. It went, you silent lurkers, that's fine. We're happy you're here, but just give us a hi to let us know that you're still here. I just put hi, because I've been lurking in this group for a while, just to see how it works, what kind of things people put in. Now we know that when you're being fully visible, you're interacting with these groups, they're interacting back with you. You can post depending on what day of the week it is, and whether it's Tip Wednesday or Promo Tuesday, whatever. And you can do a whole load of things on these groups. But to start off with, it's like anything. Understand what the rules of engagement are, and look and watch. And go in every day and just see what happens. Who's going live? What they're saying when they go live. And Ria put a comment in a little earlier that I hope you're still listening to, about I couldn't do that, I would talk rubbish. It's a really big one that I hear. I would just talk rubbish if I was going out and live or saying stuff. And And the thing to remember about that is that's your subjective opinion about what you think you've got to say. So you might think it's rubbish, but other people won't think it's rubbish. And to be honest, I'd rather watch a video live when someone needs to have a drink, or they're talking and all of a sudden, there's a blue light going out outside their window. It's like, oh, typical, you're talking and now there's a great big huge noise, or the dog started barking. For me, that's real. And we are not all robots, and we're not all mannequins. And some of us are more comfortable with the media or being visible. Some of us are not as comfortable being live or being on videos. But if someone's talking to me and they're showing me something and they're talking about what they love, I mean, you talk about something that you love, you come out with a passion you don't have when you're not talking about something that you love. And that comes across. And that's what I want to see. I don't care whether you're word perfect. In fact, I'd rather you weren't, because that makes me feel more comfortable, because I know I'm not usually word perfect. I get lots of ums and ahs and I kind of lose my track. And it's okay to say, where was I? Oh, yes. And come back. So don't let that comfort zone be a prison. But just,
we've had
just lurk for a little while and come in slowly.
Yeah, and that's really good. We've had quite a lot of response about the comfort zone. So Jill says, love the stretch bit rather than the bust out of your comfort zone. And Donna rightly says, everyone's comfort zone is different too. And Ria said, I like the stretching little bit out of your comfort zone, adding a few extra breaths. And it's true, because it's really, it can be petrifying to some to even just step in front of the camera, not even going live, just to actually pick up the camera and look at it and actually record yourself. It can be, really, really scary. And believe me, I've got a lot of ums and ahs and stuff like that, especially when I'm live on my own. I do a lot of ums because I'm thinking, and then I just say, and that's perfectly fine for you to do that. And I think that's really important for everybody that's watching now and on the replay, that it's not about breaking big boundaries. It's about just stretching it a little bit so that you can build that up. And then what happens is that your visibility, it has like a ripple effect in a way. It's like when you drop a pebble into a still lake and you see that ripple. When we first start out, we all think that we have to just jump in and make a massive splash. We don't have to do that. We have to just have this little ripple effect that will slowly start to ripple out, because your success and visibility online, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to build up. And don't think that because everything has suddenly moved online that you have to jump straight in. You can do things in very tiny steps. And it's amazing how much of a ripple effect those tiny steps can have, because coming on live, or actually just putting an update or a response to an update, say like in a group, suddenly you, just by putting a couple of words, like a couple of lines answer, say, to somebody's comment in a group, that just has a massive ripple effect. Because what happens is that what would really happen, okay, is I'm going to just show you through some of the steps. I don't have my whiteboard down here. I've got a new whiteboard, but it's upstairs. And what happens is that, say like somebody who you've been following in a Facebook group writes a post, and you really want to put your response to it, but you're a little bit worried. So you wait for a little while, and then you see that other people are doing it. So you go, okay, I'm going to do that. So what then you do is you put that post in. What some of you may not realize is that post is the same as you shouting from a billboard, just that small little thing. And that's what you've got to remember, is that when you put that little comment in, what happens is that someone's going to read that. And the nature of social media is that they're going to click on your profile, your name. And what happens in social media on all platforms is when you click the person's name, it's going to take them to your profile. And that's where they're going to learn a little bit more about you. So your profile is actually doing the speaking for you. So what happens is that they actually go to your profile, and then they see your job title, and they see some information about you, and they see what you've been up to. And then they'll probably click on your link to go to your website. And if you haven't got a website, they'll probably go to the link, whatever the link is that you've got on your profile, they'll click on that. It may even be another social platform that maybe you're a little bit more active on and you're more comfortable on. And they're going to see that. And suddenly you've got this, you've suddenly increased your visibility from being like a lurker sitting back to, okay, I'm in my comfort zone. I'm in this group. I've been in this group for a while. I'm going to actually say something. And then the people that have read that, they might not even like it or give it a heart or anything, because they're probably sitting back in the background as well. But they're going to click on you, and you won't know that they've clicked on your name, but they'll go and have a little look. And then that's how your visibility starts to broaden online, by just taking those little steps. So I'm really, really glad we went into that, Tracey, about the comfort zone, because I think so many people get scared of pushing it a little bit, expecting that they need to just jump straight in. So Jill's just made a great point. Makes so much sense to apply the ripple effect to visibility. I'm happy with posting and being interviewed in a group, but not just spontaneously popping onto camera. Yeah, exactly. So you still get that ripple effect because you're present. So I would say one of the biggest tips for me of this interview is that to help with that ripple effect is to make sure that your platform of choice, your profile, is up to date. So for instance, let's take LinkedIn as an example, because LinkedIn have just launched their LinkedIn stories. So a lot of people have given them a go, and why not? It's a really good way of being seen in the feed, having your little updates at the top. But what happens when somebody sees that is they're going to click on your little profile, and hands up. I mean, we all have. I know Tracey has. You're very active on LinkedIn. That you've updated your LinkedIn profile, but a lot of people probably haven't updated their LinkedIn profile for quite some time. And suddenly they think, oh, I'll have a little go at that. And then people are going to their profile and they're not up to date. So that's one of the biggest tips that I would give today, is to make sure that your chosen platform has an up-to-date profile on. Wouldn't you agree, Tracey?
Absolutely. And in this world of social media and the accessibility that everybody has to kind of everybody else, you can kind of click on. If you're in Facebook, interact as your business page rather than your personal page. That makes it easier for you. If you're on LinkedIn, like you said, make sure that you're interacting. I know we all have our personal profiles rather than our pages, because they want us to interact more individually than as we do in our business pages. But it is about just making sure that what you've got out there behind the scenes, like your profile, like your website, is only sharing what you're happy for people to know. So if you're not happy about people knowing that, you might be married with 4 children, then don't put it on there. And don't accept people as Facebook friends who onto your personal page. Only accept people through your business page, because you can manage those levels of interaction. And just one more thing about comfort zones is when you stretch them. When you start stretching a comfort zone, where you stretch it to then becomes your comfort zone. So you're moving from a place where you've been not able to do something into a place where you might have pushed it slightly and stretched it, and made a new ripple that goes a little bit further. Then you kind of own that space. And if you keep stretching it regularly, what you're going to do is create a whole new comfort zone that was way further than where your original comfort zone started. So my biggest tip, I know that Anita's saying, get your profiles right. My biggest tip is make sure that at least once a week you're stretching your comfort zone just a little bit further, so that what you could do this week, you're doing something different a little bit more next week, and then the following week. And then what will happen in a month or 6 weeks is that you've gone so far past, you haven't actually realised how far you've come.
Yeah, that's true. And that's really important to try and step beyond the norm and in a way all the time. So we've got a few questions before we wrap it up, but there's one interesting one from Milan here. Why do you think people who are comfortable in front of the camera lack consistency? I would possibly say that that's because when you first start going live, you may not get the audience there straight away. So when you're comfortable going in front of the camera, so for instance, I'm comfortable going in front of the camera, and Tracey's comfortable going in front of the camera when she knows all the tech. And like most people, once you know how things work, then, you're more comfortable. And what I would say, Milan, is that you just need to be consistent with showing up, because it's not, I would say that the lack of consistency comes because you think that you haven't got an audience, because maybe that you're not being joined when you're live. But they say that almost like 90% of live video is watched on a much higher percentage on the replay. So going in front of the camera and actually putting yourself out there has, again, this ripple effect of people watching the replay. I have a video that I put onto my YouTube channel when I first started it out, and it's nearly 2 years old now, and it's got, I think, nearly 100,000 views now, which is crazy. But that means that if I'd never put that video up 2 years ago, there would be nothing there for anyone to see. So if you are comfortable going in front of the camera, even if you just make like a personal goal of showing up once a week, then by the time you've finished a year, you'll have 52 videos for somebody to go and see and find. And I think that's why I think that, answering your question about why do you think people who are comfortable in front of the camera lack consistency, is because they believe that they're not being seen. What do you think, Tracey?
I have a completely different answer to that question.
Oh, go on then.
Based on mindset, obviously based on mindset. So I think I agree with you. I think that's one thing that exactly what you said. But for me, there'd be three other reasons that people who can be and have been comfortable on camera lack consistency. One might be they all of a sudden they start hitting imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? They kick into comparisonitis. Other people are doing it way better than I am. Like, oh my God, how can I keep up with them? And then that fear of failure. You kind of set a standard, and then you've got to kind of maintain that. We all have off days. We all have days where we're thinking our hair doesn't look good, or oh my God, I haven't put any makeup on, or what I'm looking at. And all of a sudden, you just need one little glitch, and that will throw your confidence levels off. And all of a sudden, it becomes the easy thing to not do. Visibility, and especially in front of camera, becomes I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. So for me, that's a real mindset issue rather than a tech issue. It could be, I'm not saying it is for everybody, but it might be that it's imposter syndrome, the comparison, which is huge. Oh God, they look really good on their camera, and they've got a great background, and all their colours are done, and they're wearing the right clothes and brilliant. Or it's, am I gonna trip up? Am I gonna fall down flat on my face? Are people going to be watching this and laughing at me?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because now you've said it. Thinking of my own experience being on camera, I tend to not go on camera until I have this sort of like set up. And do you know what I mean? It's like, I was thinking the other morning I was sitting in, I was actually in bed drinking coffee, because I do that a lot. I get up and go down and take my coffee to bed, and then like just spend about 25 minutes or so just chilling. And I thought, I could do a live before 8 p.m. with my coffee. And I thought, no, I can't. My hair might be messy, and like I won't have any makeup on. And I think what happens is that you set your own standards to achieve, and then if you don't achieve them, it stops you from being visible.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely, you knocked it on the head. Yes, okay. What I said is true as well, is that if you don't have that visibility there in the first place, you've got nothing for other people to go and see. But if you are comfortable being visible, and then you stop yourself because of mindset, because you start thinking that other people are doing it better than you, and that your opinion suddenly doesn't count when it does, that's what happens. And you do tend to sort of like fall on those things.
And they can kick in at any point. I mean, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she's really successful in what she does in her business. And she said to me, oh my God, I've been having massive imposter syndrome in the last week or so. Now she's at top of her game in the field that she's in. And for some reason, it's just kicking in. And she went, Tracey, what can I do? So we had a little bit of a chat, and we got past it. So it's, you can be really confident for X amount of years or even weeks and months. And all of a sudden something will happen. When something necessarily hasn't got to happen, it just appears, and the little gremlins come on your shoulder and tell you can't. And it's just knowing how to change that conversation with yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been absolutely amazing. We've actually been live for 50 minutes. So
wow.
If you're watching the replay, please do stick it out, because there is some magic points in here that
get a coffee.
Really gain.
Have a coffee.
Yeah, grab a coffee and grab a packet of crisps or something. So we just got a couple more, and then I'd like to ask you, Tracey, to share with everybody how they can perhaps work with you, because obviously everyone sort of knows that they can work with me with the tech and the strategy and things. But I think, you know, mindset is so important. And Tracey and I have been having chats about mindset and, you know, putting yourself out there and how you offer yourself and things like that. So we'll come to that. There's just a couple more questions I want to go to. So I think it was Gospel said that sometimes people might fall off the camera because they're ill, and that again goes to mindset as well, because obviously you've got to look after yourself. Yourself is the most important thing, and you need to give yourself time to, you know, to get over that. Abby's just said, when I go on camera, I don't understand why there are hundreds of views but 1 or 2 likes, so it puts me off doing more. Yeah, well, that goes to this whole thing of people watching your live on the replay. So what happens is that when you're live, and we've had between sort of 5 and 10 or 11 people watching us live across the multiple platforms that I'm on. So, you know, I don't have a massive audience when I'm live yet, because it's growing and it's been building up for a while. But replay, what will happen is that you'll get views on the lives that you do going on from the moment you did the live. So someone might watch it, you know, you might have 10 views during the day. And what happens, depending on where you're watching it, is that people can watch the video without actually having to click on it and make a comment or like it or give it a heart or anything like that. Because what happens on most social platforms is that the video will autoplay, and a lot of platforms have now got subtitles showing. So I know for a fact that in my Facebook page and my Facebook group where we are live streaming and on YouTube, that the subtitles are auto-populated, so people can actually watch this video without having the voice on. So at the moment, I've actually got my group up on here to just check who's in there, because I can't see who's actually commenting through my chat at the moment in groups. But I can see that the text is being written as I speak underneath. So you don't have to have people clicking likes and hearts and all those sorts of things. So don't let that put you off, because that's something that, you know, that again goes to your belief that nobody's watching you. But they are watching you, because you, like you said, you've got hundreds of views, but only 1 or 2 likes. Some of that is to do with what you're saying. So actually, when you go live, tell people to like your video, tell people to give you the thumbs up if they're watching on Facebook, and, you know, depending on which platform you're on. So for instance, we're live streaming here, Tracey and I, to YouTube. So I would say to people, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like it and subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos like this. But for Facebook, I would say, you know, follow my page, give me the thumbs up, give me some hearts, you know, share it, you know, or comment, or, you know, tell me you're watching the replay. So those are the sorts of things that you have to put into your videos when you're doing, whether that's pre-recorded or live. When you do a video, always remember to encourage your audience to participate in the conversation with you, even if it's a replay. So that probably will help you get more likes and more comments if you actually actively ask people. Because again, this comes down to mindset. I'm sure Tracey will agree that people are a bit worried about putting a comment on a live video, especially as the person who's running it. So Tracey and I can see that there's like above my head, I've got like a little eye that tells me how many people are watching. And what happens is that if I then, at the beginning of a live, if I then say to somebody, oh, I can see that you're live, and they suddenly pop off because they, oh gosh, you can see me. And then, like, you know, and that's what can happen to people. Isn't that right, Tracey?
Absolutely, yes.
And we all do it. We all start to watch, and then, like, I don't know, the kids might call you, or the doorbell goes, or, you know, then you have to go off because you can't commit to watching it fully, or you've got an appointment or something, and you've got to run off. It doesn't mean that you don't want to watch the video. You'll come back to it and watch the replay, and that's where you get the views up. So Tracey, do tell everybody how they can work with you.
So you can find me on through my website, which is www.traceybaumcoaching.com or .co.uk. I think both work. So that's my one-to-one coaching, which is kind of 2 face-to-face sessions a month with unlimited access to me through email, messaging, WhatsApp, FaceTimes, texts, for anything that we've got in going on in the meantime. Watch this space, because next year there's going to be a group program being launched. I do a regular every month or every other month workshop on how to network well. We've got another one of those starting in November the 24th. And every month I run something called Mindset and Momentum, where we meet the third or fourth Thursday of a month. And next month I think is the 19th, I think it is, of November, and we cover all of those. And again, you can find that through Facebook. I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/Tracey B Coaching. I'm on LinkedIn at Tracey Baum. Please come find me there and connect with me. Those are my two platforms of choice. And you can just basically, come through and hi, and we can talk about anything that you want. And I always offer everybody a free consultation. So you get a free hour of my time just to talk through what your issues are and whether or not I'm the best fit for you, because having a coach is a really important and personal relationship, and it's got to be the right person.
Yeah, that's true. And that goes with what I do as well, is that you've got to try it out and see that you connect with that person, because everyone can do lots of different things. So Donna's just said, mindset and momentum. So thank you all for joining us today. We've got lots and lots of comments. So if you are watching this on the replay, please feel free to put the comments in as well, and we will get back and answer any questions that you may have later. So Tracey and I will, obviously this is on our pages, and Tracey hopefully will share it onto hers later. I think she did it yesterday when we published the schedule. But if you have any questions at all about anything that we've said today about your online visibility and your mindset and pushing those that comfort zone out a little bit wider and making those ripples really work for you, then please do pop it in the comments below. And don't forget to join me next week, same time, same place, for episode 7 of Visibility Fitness, to get your visibility into shape. Okay, thanks Tracey for joining me, and
Thank you for having me.
For all your comments. Okay, see you all soon. Bye.